Hello and welcome back to the Modern Freedom Podcast. I haven't done an episode like this in a while where I just start speaking, and I think that's the lesson in today's episode is to daringly be you. I think that is one of the most terrifying things you can do because in some way we are always trying to be like someone we think is successful. I know I have, y'all. Like I've always wanted a successful podcast and recommend it to people. Like I would love for this. I would like I always see when other people share other people's podcasts on their stories, and I'm like, why doesn't my podcast get shared? Like I would love for my podcast to be shared. I would love for like to be the biggest thing. But I believe, my time will come when it's meant to. I feel like in the meantime, y'all, like we need to like I just realized something I the other day is that some of our favorite artists have been, like they say, 10 years in the making, right? And what does that even mean? It means that like for every not like us hits, for every espresso, for every renaissance, there is hundreds of okay songs, okay albums, things that didn't really, hit off. And for me, like I haven't even hit 100 episodes. I'm right about there. But it's like this is all practice. Like all the songs that you're making right now that no one's heard of, like, all the posts that you've made that no one's seen or hasn't gone to views. We think that somehow like they mean nothing, that they just get lost in the ether. And yeah, maybe things will never get listened to. Maybe things will never be seen, but that doesn't mean that it's for nothing. It's like it's your warm up. You're in your warm up era, even if it takes 5 6 years. Like that is honestly normal. It's you see it time and time again, and a lot of people's careers, how they tried and they tried and until that one time, until it fucking finally hits. But they would never have gotten that successful hit, that movie role, that just that miracle fucking shot. The other example I'm going to give is Gary Vee. Gary Vee is prime example of this shit. He did the wine library for God knows how many years, episodes. There's like at least over 1,000, I believe, episodes of the wine library. And he's not even known for wine, y'all. He is, well, I think at the time, maybe he might have been for a little while, but he popped off because he was giving a speech somewhere and he cursed, and everybody's like, oh my God. So I believe that's how it went. But still, y'all, like he wasn't even Gary Vee until what, in his late 30s, early 40s. And you have to remember that like you're in it for the long run. People might not hear your shit for a very fucking long time, but that doesn't mean we get to quit. And today I'm going to be reading, I have notes here, y'all, and I'm going to practice just being me. It sounds like intimidating, y'all. Like I said, I'm close to 100 episodes, and yet it's still terrifying every time I turn on the mic because I'm still trying to be the best. I'm still trying to perform. I'm trying to be like, what would people like? What will people share? What will get them to come back and tell their friends about it? And I don't know yet, y'all. I just know that I believe in people. I believe in myself, and I am your biggest cheerleader. I believe in you. I do believe in you. I don't think it is out of your reach. That is, unless you don't work for it, then yeah, obviously, then, and we don't want to live there. You're always gonna be living on what if. It's a terrible way to live life. Even now, I get depressed. Nothing will bring me into to tears more than music. I will cry watching Kelly Uchis performing at Coachella because I'm like, that's fucking me. People go to concerts to see themselves. And so, like, it is possible. You don't say you're not a great singer. Don't say you can't sing. Don't say you don't know how to produce music. Don't say you don't know how to do anything. You just haven't taught yourself. You just haven't learned. That's it. And it takes a minute, but you can get there if you put in the work. And if you're listening to you're probably, maybe you've done all that. Maybe okay, Jen, I can do this. I believe in myself, and I've been putting in the work. And then the real work starts too. Like then you're like, fuck, like you get like it seems like you've reached a giant hill, and like, and it's just that's where I'm at, y'all. Like, and there's a couple of messages that I want to get to you because we all need the reminders. We all need a cheerleader, and I'm great at that. I guess I'm giving y'all a spiel of why you should keep listening to this podcast and share it with your friends. Is that I will cheer you on. I think I'm there with you. I don't think I'm any more special than anybody out there. I don't have a lot of money. Like I'm having to work right now, y'all. I work 50 hours a week. I pay bills. I have bills. I have debt. Have family problems sometimes. I have relationship problems sometimes. I don't know much about music. Like I know a lot about music and at the same time I don't like creating it wise, but I'm just saying like I have my privileges, things that help me, but at the end of the day like there's people out there with less doing more and we can get through this together. At the end of the day, like you and we're in this together. Okay. And I have been wanting to do this thing where I share my music journey, and they say that in order to be successful, you got to niche down, right? We've all heard that. And I've always been like, well, whether you're creating music or painting, because I'm a multi-passionate, and at the same time, it is scary to like, oh, well, if I only talk to these people, then what about the other people who aren't making music but listen to my stuff? Like, what about them? And I think I'm at the point where they say at some point you just gotta rip off the fucking band-aid, right? And if I want to pursue music wholeheartedly, and that is my life, like nothing makes me feel more than music, and nothing gets me more excited than to talk about music. And going forward, these episodes will be for you if you are pursuing music, because I don't see this going away anytime soon. Like I am at the beginning, and how beautiful it is to be at the beginning and to be able to document this process and share it with you all, because nobody was there. I mean, when I started painting, it was back when Facebook was the main thing. And I remember actually I had written things down on I was journaling when I first started painting, and it was like my third eye had opened, and it was just my awakening. It was incredible. And I stupidly tore up those pages and threw away the journal because I was scared that somebody would see it. Regret. And then the flower crowns, I do have some of that documented, but like those things didn't come to me. I didn't pursue those things like consciously. They kind of just came to me. I picked up a paintbrush out of boredom one day because I had no phone, I had no job, and I needed something to do. Flower crowns, shopping spree ended right. And I ended up with too many flowers, ended up making flower crowns, never could stop. So those things kind of just happened, right? And music, it's something I've never gone into something with me actually wanting, like being aware that I want to do it, that I want to learn. Most things have kind of just as hobbies, but this music thing is my childhood dream, and this is not like painting where I mean, none of those things I learned overnight. Those were skills that took me a long time to hone in. But to me, so far, creating music has been very challenging, and there's so much that goes into it. Like, especially in the beginning, like I mean, a lot of our favorite artists don't start with an available like freaking studio booth and producers at who could just who can submit music. You know what I'm trying to say. They don't have all these resources right away. Like some people start with GarageBand and demos, and even then, like you can have it all. And I'm just saying, y'all, like there's a lot to this music thing, and it's beautiful. I'm in it for the long run, and I want to share my journey with you in order to maybe inspire you and just be there with you, like be in this together while we figure it out. Because I know I'm not the only one. I've been on Threads lately, and I love Threads because it's been the easier way to find people lately. It's been really hard on Instagram. And honestly, because also I don't really search on Instagram like I used to either. I remember I used to go through hashtags and try to find people, but I haven't really felt like finding people on there. It's kind of cooler to find them through Threads for some reason. And then I go follow them on Instagram. But all that to say, like I realized that there are so many people out there pursuing music. And at first it can be scary because you're like, oh my God, like where am I gonna fit on this? Like, what if, I mean, we can't all make it, but it's not really like that. Because if you are a multi-passionate artist like me and you've ever pursued anything else, like there's thousands of fucking painters out there. I mean, we've already had people who have done incredible work, like Leonardo da Vinci. He created or who's the one who painted the Sistine Chapel? I'm not sure, but we've had a Van Gogh. We all know Van Gogh with Starry Night. I mean, we've had incredible, talented artists already exist, but that doesn't stop people from creating art, paintings. And we have to remember we won't be everybody's cup of tea. Okay, I'm gonna name Beyonce again because she's on top of mind because again, the Grammys. But I am a fan of her in many ways, but I don't like all her music. I don't. It doesn't mean I don't think she's an incredible artist, but we have to remember we won't be for everybody. Not everything we'll do will land with our listeners, with our fans, with our audience. Like it's just the way it is. And this is a great segue into a thought I had recently about fans, how we have to remember, especially because we post on social media in this day and age to get attention and views and eyes on our work, is that we can't pay too much attention to numbers because, or who is watching or whatever, because if you think about it, you're probably not even a constant listener, consumer of your favorite artist, or your second or third favorite artist, you know? But that doesn't mean you don't appreciate or admire them any less. It's just we are humans and we can't possibly even keep track of all the music out there, all our favorite artists. And not just that, the people we our fans, our followers, you know, we can't keep up and interact with everybody. It's just not possible. Like we don't even do that in our personal lives with friends and families. Like, do you know what's going on with all your family members and all your friends? Let's just say it's like it's human, you know, and we can't be so attached to numbers and views and followers. You know, we gotta learn, analyze, take it with a grain of salt, and then let it go. And know that it comes with the territory. Like people will be here for one phase of our careers, and then they might not be there for the next or the next, but then they might come back on the next fifth phase, you know? Let's go back to the other thing I was saying is that I am ready to you know, just really claim the space as a space for budding musicians, singer songwriters, producers, you know, anybody in the music space. And let's see where we go from here. I know I've kind of started to I've dabbled in it here and there. I've done the episode about like I did an album review of Camila Cabello with which in hindsight I wish I would have taken my time with, but I was trying to be relevant with the times because she was like playing at the VMAs and so it was like Sabrina Carpenter. I just thought like in all transparency here, I just thought it might land better with downloads around that time if I did the episode. And I wish I would have taken, like I said, just not been so worried about releasing it with that time and just done it when I was ready because yeah, I still have a lot of great things to say about that, about Camila Cabello on that album. Like the more I learn, I'm like the more I understand what she was speaking of and like and especially because she released the deluxe version and I listened to it more and I'm like it taught me a lot about writing. So I would like to like dive into albums and just talk about music and there's a lot to learn there and bring other singer songwriter musicians on here and share their stories and see how I can help y'all and help myself at the same time because I'm learning. I'm new on this and yeah, so here's to that. Here's to maybe building a new community, new beginnings. And so today I guess I'll touch on this. I want to talk a little bit about now that we kind of got that out of the way, I want to talk a little bit about failure and the art in failing. I recently, in the last episode, or I don't know if I'll release the one I just recorded, but in the episode with Kate, we talked about, she talked about how she started off as a comedian, then actress, and now she's doing painting and the power of letting go and being and knowing when to just move on. And I, in the fall of last year, would let go of the flower crowns. And that's not to say I'm not still making flower crowns or have anything to do with them, but I stopped putting so much energy into them and promoting them and all the things because I realized that the more I did it, the more I hated it. The more I made videos about flower crowns, the more I fucking hated it, especially because I didn't want to convince people why they should wear flower crowns. I just wanted to make them basically a hobby. I didn't really care about selling and promoting and marketing, you know? But it felt really weird because I had been doing it for such a long time. And I think that's what's hard about letting go, whether it's people or a hobby or anything really, is that we put so much time, we start to think about all the time and energy we've put into it that we just latch onto it, you know, instead of just accepting it for what it was, thanking it for what it for the time and the things we learned from it and letting go in order to move on to the next thing. Because the longer you hold on to whatever it is that you're having trouble letting go of, the longer you're keeping yourself from the thing that is waiting for you. You know, if you have a jar almost maxed out to the brim, like imagine trying to add a new thing, and on top of everything else, like the cup would overflow. And we have jobs, we have other things going on in life. It's like it's okay. Like if something didn't work out, it's okay to say, you know, to put it away. So learn to admit defeat and keep moving. Failure is a hard pill to swallow. I don't take failure easy, but we have to learn how to, because it's part of the process. Not everything's going to be a hit. Not everything we try. Like, y'all, I have spent like hundreds of dollars on producers, on beats, on all kinds of shit, really. Well, mostly producers, because I thought that would be the way for me, but I can't. Like I can't. Like I don't like forcing my music into a beat, because I don't know. That's a whole other episode. But I also think learning how to fail is like learning how to admit, I don't want to say defeat, but like just knowing when to throw in the towel, when to walk away. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But again, it does come with a lot of feelings naturally as humans. It could make us feel like I didn't mount up to nothing. I failed. I never succeeded, yada yada yada. But I think it's a great practice in detachment. We don't want to get attached to any one thing, like to a name. Like imagine if I was like forever like I am the modern Frida because I've always been like fuck no. Like what if at one point it doesn't resonate with me? Why would I keep it just because I've always gone by the name, you know? Like even though like it no longer resonated with me. The thing is like learning when to put a pause. Sometimes it doesn't have to be like a do away forever. Like right now, I'm taking a pause from crowns. I've taken pauses from painting. Those things will always be a part of me. But I think when you learn how to put a pause or throw in the towel, however you want to see it, it makes us more resilient. Because if we're thinking long term, I'm sure down the line, when you've already made so much music and maybe you've been doing R&B for a long time, all of a sudden you're being called to think of fucking Andre 3000. He did rap hip hop for like ever, right? And then I don't want to say he retired, but he stopped making music for a long time, maybe like a decade, I'd say. I could be wrong, but a long fucking time, y'all. And out of nowhere, he fucking comes out with this album, this music where he's playing a flute. He says it's not a flute album because that wouldn't be right to other actual flute players out there. But you know, he comes out, he's doing a complete different genre, not even like fucking close to what he used to do. And can you imagine if he would have just stuck with hip hop because and rap because it's what he was known for, even though he no longer resonated with it, even though he no longer was being called to. And imagine if he had never letting go of that and never dived into this new expression of himself, which who knows what it may lead to for him. But even that people who've already seen success, when you reach success, it doesn't like end there. Like life continues. You will continue to evolve and life will do its thing. And what I'm trying to say is that you will come again to a point in your life where something is just not resonating with you no more. You got to start now, right? Like if you learn to let go now at these little stages, I don't think it gets easier in the sense that like it's not hard, like it won't be hard in the future, but you'll have something to look back to and be like, oh yes, like I remember at that point in my life I was so scared to say, hey, I'm only making a podcast, I'm making a podcast directly for musicians, singer songwriters, and look how it turned out. You know, it was scary, but it turned out for the best. That's what I'm telling myself. But you will be able to think back, and that will help you. That will be your compass in the new decisions paths you decide to take. And practicing detachment, I don't think it's ever too good to be attached to anything. Also, it is hard to admit when you failed at something, or maybe it didn't work out the way you wanted to. Like I know countless other people who have succeeded at Flower Crowns, people who do it as a living, or have, I know this girl online who Paris Hilton is a regular customer of hers who's bought a lot of crowns from her, and countless of other examples, people who have made crowns for celebrities or festivals, and painting, people who like Katie's Canvases, I believe is her URL online. She's a full-time artist, very fucking successful one. She's been doing it since like what 2020 when the pandemic hit and she's exploded. And but what I love about her is that you can still see the passion for her craft, like always evolving. It's very beautiful. She's like a prime example of I think, a success story in a lot of fucking ways, not just number wise, but where she's evolved her style, but she's still her, and still she's very awesome to watch evolve. So yeah, it can be hard to admit that something didn't work out, but I think there's humility in that, and we all gotta learn how to be able to swallow that pill and accept it. We just gotta be okay with accepting the truth sometimes, and sometimes the truth hurts. But like I think only in hindsight can we see things working out. Anyways, moving on. These are signs that you are ready to move on and have exhausted all your arsenal. Have you been questioning that thing, like letting go of something, whether it's another creative hobby or you want to transition your podcast into something else, wherever you may be, like you've been thinking about it, like this is no longer serving you? These are some questions that might help you make a decision. So you question it a lot, like a bad relationship. So we all know, we've probably all been in a relationship where it's run its course, right? So like for me with flower crowns, I was questioning it a lot. Like, should I not? Like for like ever, y'all. And like there's been times where I've given it up a lot throughout the last several years. And that's okay. Like I just realized like this is not my main thing. It's not there's not enough love there, I guess, enough will and all the great things for me to continue doing it for long periods. Like I don't think if I would have been able to do it full time that I would have been completely happy. Like I think eventually I would have been like, okay, I want to do something else, like music, with the thing that really calls my heart. So if you find yourself questioning it a lot, it could be a sign that you're ready to move on from it. It doesn't align with your future goals. Again, for me, I realized when I looked down 5 years down the line, I didn't see flower crowns in my future. Like I kept seeing music and music and music. Like I just kept thinking and talking about music. So I'm like, why am I continuing to put energy into this flower crown thing if my future is music? When like if you look down like a year or two down the line and you don't see that in your plans, then maybe it's time to let it go. Question number three, or thing number three, it's not clicking, you meet resistance. So with the flower crowns, it just again and again, it just was not clicking for me. And that's not to say like I talked about that, it might not hit the fifth or the 10th time. But for me, it just felt like I just, no matter what I did keep getting resistance. And I think I was creating that resistance because in reality, it's not what I wanted to do. Another thing to consider, if you have been meeting a lot of resistance or things are not just clicking, maybe it's not for you. And lastly, I think something to ask yourself is are you in it for the long run? Can you commit even if you don't see a ROI, a return on investment right away? That's, I think, the best way to know if you are really dedicated to something is, can you do it for free? And can you do it for free for a fucking long time? Like I've been doing this podcast. I don't know if I'll ever get paid for this. I don't see how. I know people get money from podcasts, but that's never been my goal. This is definitely out of my heart, out of just joy and everything else that I do this podcast. And I've been doing it for going on 5 years. So if the answer is yes, you can continue to do this without ever getting paid for it, then you probably are just maybe a little burnt out and maybe need to walk away for a minute or whatever. But if the answer is no, you cannot do this for free for like ever, then maybe that's also a sign that you need to put it away, put pause on it, and go to where your heart is being called to. Okay, lastly, I'm going to leave y'all with a quote. I wrote this on my notes of this book that I'm reading, or I pick it up here and now there. It's called A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose by Eckhart Tolle. And I never actually read his first book that a lot of people refer to, The Power of Now. Somehow I came across a second book, but it's so good, y'all. Like if you've ever been interested in the ego, to me the ego was always a confusing word because I grew up with it being, oh, she has a big ego, they think they're the shit or whatever. But the ego actually is more referred to as I still don't even know like the best way to describe what the ego means, but this book has a great way of explaining it to you and identifying it. It's pretty awesome. So the whole quote is a little wonky, like I don't, but the thing I underlined is become a role that you play. So playing a role, I realized I was playing a role when I was doing the flower crowns. And I didn't like that role I was playing. I can't tell you exactly the role I was, but I realized I was putting on like a character and I didn't like that. I was like, no. So be aware, like if you find yourself playing a role and it's not on purpose, like some people have alter egos, but it's for the better. Like let's say Lingerie at this point, her being a sad girl could be just a fucking it's just part of the character, right? Because we've seen those videos. I don't know if you've seen that video, but where she's like smiling and all of a sudden she's like she turns away and she's like sad again. So there's like that an act, but a purposeful act. But then there's like a role that you're playing because you think you have to play it, and that's different. You don't want to, if you feel like you're playing a role, then it's probably time to move on. All right. So thank you all for joining me on this episode. If you enjoyed any part of this or your favorite part, please share it on your stories. Take a screenshot, tag me at Jen period the modern Frida on Instagram. Find me on threads. I like to hang out there now. Let me know where you are in your music career. I really want to know. Like, let's connect, like for real. Like I'm at the beginning, still trying to figure out what software I want to use to create beats and all that. Let me know below. Bye.